It's Nick Walter with the Arizona Game and Fish Department, and I always say the best tip I can give to anglers is look for someone who knows a lot more about fishing than you do. And I ran into someone who fits that description. This is Gary Senft. Been fishing his whole life in this area, and he just got off the water at Lake Pleasant. And folks, it is topwater time right now. So Gary, what was working out there for you, and tell us about your little exciting morning you had.
Well, we were out there. We got here early. We were on the water by 5 o'clock, and we were just taking a ride up the lake. I haven't been here in a year, pretty much, so I didn't know what to expect, but I just kept going looking for the boils and all the coves, and I ended up in the river. Okay. And then it was just exploding with stripers and white bass. So we just commenced throwing these big baits. I brought one of these just to show you guys what I was using. This is called a gunfish. This is good for largemouth stripers. You see its little cup in there, and all this is like a zero spook, and it just walks the dog like this. And they were hitting this like crazy. I mean, one after another. So, you know, you just nice and slow, and you can hear the rattles. I mean, it's got a lot of rattles, and it'll call them up even after they were jumping and feeding. The bass were starting to go down, and you could still walk that over them, and they were probably 10, 15 feet down, and they'd still come up and hit that bait, you know. Yeah. But there was a key time.
What time was that?
Yeah, it was a key time. It was from 5 to basically 6:15, because we had a little bit of cloud cover this morning, and so it let us film a little bit longer, but we got some good action, and you'll probably be posting some of this on, you know, AZ Game and Fish Department website, and we'll be posting it on our video. So we got some real good shots of the fish actually coming up and just clobbering this thing, you know.
So not only is it the fish are active at that time coming up, hitting top water, isn't it a great time to get out of the water in these hot summer temperatures? You can get up. The weather's perfect. The sunrise is perfect. It's paradise out there at that time. It
was. You know, yesterday and today is going to be two of the hottest days we've had since this year. So I was out in Bartlett yesterday and fishing. The hotter it got, the better it got. I mean, it was awesome day fishing, but it was 115 degrees. I mean, we were towels around us and soaking wet and drinking a lot of water. If we would have stayed out there like that, it would have been that way, but we had a nice breeze right now, so it's been nice this morning.
So what can people look for if they're out there on the water? What kind of features, what time of day? We mentioned that, but what would you say people look for? What areas of the lake especially should people try for? You
know, I knew that from years past that the upper end of the lake in the river and, you know, by Humbug and Coles, that these mouths of all these big creeks and rivers, those fish congregate, the white bass and the stripers. Those are the areas to look for. But I would say just drive around, and when you see them coming up, boiling and chasing shad, I mean, you notice it. It's really going on. And you said you saw some down here. So
it's hard to miss. I was on the shoreline earlier about 6 o'clock, and there's boils spread out, but they're very hard to miss. And some big fish rising to the surface too.
Oh boy, I tell you, some of them were 22, 23 inches long. They were like this long, and they really smashed this lure. You know? So
what is it about this lure, do you think, that makes it so effective for you?
You know what, the Zero Spook and some of the other topwaters are rounded at the front, and I've always liked this gunfish because it looks like a Rico, doesn't it, on the front? And so what it does is it spits water out, and then it also walks the dog, and it's also got the heavy BBs in there that sound like a Zero Spook, and it calls them up from the deep. And so this lure has always been good for me over the last 25 years.
So tell people what walking the dog is. What's that technique for you? It sounds like some people do it a little bit differently sometimes.
Right. You know, anytime you're bass fishing, you need to get that cadence down of the fish and what they want. Do they want it real fast, or do they? Today it was, you know, just a regular back and forth. You know, and you're jerking your rod down like this, and this bait's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
It spits out a little boil, right?
It spits out a little bit of water out the front on top of that. So you can see they're getting a little bit more sound coming out the front of this, and then they're getting the sound from the BBs as it's going back and forth. And
it mimics a wounded bait fish.
It's what it is.
And the stripers key in on that because they're wounding, they're killing these bait fish, and they see this.
Right. and they hear it. And I had a feather on the back, but look at it.
No.
Kind of. But you can buy these hooks with feathers already on there at the bait stores and stuff, Bass Pro or whatever, anyone you want. But it works good today. They were smashing it, but that was the key time. By 6:30, the sun popped out over the clouds, and they went down. Now we probably could have put some swim baits on and maybe slow roll them off the bottom or something like that. And we probably could have kept catching them, or a hair jig. You know, those are heavy. Get a 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce and fish those, and I bet you could get them, because I could see them, you know, when we got out in deeper water, I could see them down about 15, 20 feet. So that would have worked.
Yeah. So this is a great fishery out here, folks. If you've never done it, striped bass, it's unlimited daily bags on striped bass. They taste great.
Oh yeah.
They're great on fish tacos. So you can look for Gary's video is going to be online. His YouTube channel is Fishing with Gary Senft. You can go online also to azgfd.gov. Go to the fishing tab and click on fishing report, and you'll go to our Fish AZ site where we'll have fishing reports. And it's a great time to come out here to Lake Pleasant and get away from the heat, fish in the morning, and
swim in the afternoon.
And swim in the afternoon,
you know,
maybe even take a nap. That's probably what we're going to end up doing. So.
Yeah, that's right. We're done for the day, so we're heading home. You know, get the boat all cleaned up and go get a bite to eat for lunch and stuff like that. But it was fun. You know, the people will have a good time. When they see the videos, they're going to understand how much fun it was just watching those big fish come up and just smash this and jump out of the water, and oh my gosh.
If you've never caught a fish on topwater, there's nothing like seeing that explosion on your lure.
The only thing that's bad, guys, is when you use these big plugs like this and these hooks are needle sharp. You got to be very careful, because once you bring them into the boat, my gosh, they're flopping all around, and the fin on the back of that striper is so sharp. I've got cuts all over my hands, but you got to be careful, because when they flop around, those hooks are flying, and you're going to get hooked with it. So make sure you let that fish tire out, and then I put him in a net, and then I was holding him down with one hand and taking the pliers. And
you learn that quickly when you start getting cut up.
If you do get cut up, and they're even their gill plates on the back of the gill plates, really sharp. It'll slice you open.
What kind of line do you use? Do you like line that has some stretch for topwater, some monofilament? What's your preference?
Monofilament is good for topwater. I always like monofilament for topwater baits for the stretch, exactly what you said. But if you have your poles rigged up, you know, this is mono right here. This is 12-pound test. It's regular mono. And I just kind of keep this for topwater, you know, whether it's you know, I use braid for a frog, but that's the only thing I use braid for anymore. All the rest of it's just, you know, and I'm going to a lot of fluorocarbons for crankbaits now, because you want the crankbait to sink. So, you know, you use a fluorocarbon for that. But topwater, you can just buy whatever brand you want, you know. You can go to Bass Pro and buy that XPS, and you get 1,500 yards for $9.99.
It's a way to go.
It's like, way to go.
Good way to go.
It's a good way to go. So,
and what's your hook set with topwater? Is it going to be different from fishing deep?
Yes, that's a good question. The hook set is different. So as you're working it and they hit your bait, you want to just pause a few seconds and let that thing pull your line, and then set the hook or start reeling real fast, because these hooks are so sharp.
Oh my goodness.
They go in. So if you let that thing just take the bait down, and as soon as they grab it and go down, they're swimming down with it, and you set it, and man, your rod just bends over and fights on. Like I said, when you see the video, you're gonna go, oh my gosh, I gotta go catch some stripers on Lake Pleasant.
You gotta go do it yourself.
It was fun.